Hi, we're Republic of Loose. You're watching Cavan TV.
Good evening, and you are very welcome to tonight's edition of Business and Enterprise here on Cavan TV. Later on in the programme, we'll be having a look at Bank of Ireland Enterprise Week, which we're in the middle of at the moment. But first of all, we're going to have a chat with Anne Sheehy of Bright Star Marketing about her company, what's going on, how she is getting on, where she is, and if we play our cards right, you might get a few tips from her about how to market our own companies. And you're very welcome to Business and Enterprise.
Thank you, Colm.
First of all, before we go into anything else, tell us a little about Anne Sheehy.
Well, Anne Sheehy grew up in Dublin and worked in Dublin for most of her life, and was tempted away by the beautiful countryside of Cavan 7 years ago. So I sold up in Dublin and came and moved up here altogether. So for the first year I commuted up and down to Dublin for work, and then I decided to go out on my own and do something that I'd wanted to do for a long time, which is providing marketing support to small to medium-sized enterprises.
And what had you done before you?
I was working mostly in property and construction as marketing manager. The last job I'd had was marketing manager for Pierce Contracting, which was luckily during the height of the good times.
It's a good time. So you came back up to, and nothing like me, you're not in the city centre or the town centre, I should say, of Cavan. You are in a fairly rural based area. How do you find working in the middle of nowhere with obviously the demands of marketing is being with customers who are if not in the centre cities like Dublin, certainly in large towns?
It blends quite well. There's a lot of work is done online these days, so it works out relatively well, albeit I'd love to have real broadband. But I work off satellite dish out in Killikeen, out near the Forest Park. And I travel up and down to Dublin then. I go up and I stay 2 days in Dublin each week for clients that I have up there. Mostly it works out quite well.
Oh, you stay up in Dublin, do you?
I stay in Dublin when I go up.
Oh, very good.
2 days there.
I'm up now. I'm up 2 days in a row. I always come up and come back. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. I should have a nice little bachelorette pad like you.
Well, I stay with my parents when I go up.
I don't think the nursing home would let me stay with my mother. No. I'm sorry. Anyway, so then you set up as a marketing company. That's great. I'm doing what I want now. I'm in this idyllic setting. I'm doing what I want, which is marketing. All I need now is customers. So how did you go about getting customers?
I suppose the first thing I did when I came up, at that time I'd looked for a chamber which didn't exist at the time. And luckily then one was formed, as you know. I think it was about 2 years afterwards. That would have been about 2007, I think, when the Eamon McDwyer put the chamber back together in Cavan. So that was one of the first steps that I took. And then it was just a case of getting out and getting to know people. I had some clients in Dublin, so I sourced any of the other services I'd want locally, which would have started with the likes of Abby Set here in Cavan, or Jim Cleary, who does graphic design for me in Virginia. And through those people you build a network, just as you would a friendship network, and get introductions to other people. And that was really where it would have started for me. As a sole person, like operating on my own, it doesn't take a lot of work to keep me going. So 4 or 5 clients at any given time is enough to kind of get me started.
It's the £1,000 an hour that keeps you going, basically. So basically you're a marketing company.
Yeah.
What's a marketing company? What is this marketing?
Well, I would say I was a marketing consultant as opposed to a marketing company as such. What I would do is I work on a number of levels. Number one, I kind of help people with the strategy, trying to get a proper strategy together for their business. I'm not someone who believes that you would have a set marketing budget as, say, a percentage of your turnover. To me, you start off at 0 and you decide what it is you want to achieve, and then we work out how you're going to do it and how much that's likely to cost. So that can be, say, at a strategic level, but also there's the gap that I had seen in the market was for companies that can't afford a full-time marketing manager, and they need somebody maybe a day a week or 2 days a week or maybe a day a month, somebody to keep a watching brief and to help them out to actually do the marketing. So I say one side I have, like, say, the strategy setting, and the other side I'll actually do it for people.
Marketing, sales, what's the difference?
I would work off the model that's called AIDA. It's AIDA, attention, interest, desire and action. Now to me the marketing really does the first three of them effectively. The action really becomes the selling. Now a lot of people would say that marketing should generate sales as well. To me it generates sufficient interest, and then it's the sales job crunches the actual deal. It takes the money out of the customer's pocket basically and puts it in the till. That's where I would see it breaking down.
So basically marketing is letting your company or your business or your product, let it be known.
Yeah.
So it's not your job to get anybody any sales. It's your job to have whatever product it is, whatever service to do, known to the public or potential customers.
Yeah.
After then, when you have done that, it is then either somebody else's job, or perhaps that might be a service you also supply, I don't know, or the business itself, then can generate the sales on your standard cold calling, etc., from the knowledge that people have gained from your marketing. Is that kind of it, or am I way off the mark?
Yeah, no, it's pretty. It depends on the actual business. You know, for example, if it's a store, you know, then your marketing is going to be creating not just the awareness but also the desire. You know, I mean, you could be selling hairdressing, and it's not just enough to say hi. I'm a hairdresser, here I am. You want to say why you're better than the competitors, why people are going to come into you. And that will be more than just advertising. It could be the look of the store, it could be the lighting, it could be the ambience, it could be the staff that are in there and how they treat people that come in. It's the whole package. You get the person in the door at that stage, generally speaking, say with something like a hairdresser, they'll have decided that they're going to come to you for a service. But for somebody else, say, walks in to buy a product, the salesperson on the floor will probably be the one who will do the selling at that point. If it's an online store, you'll have created the awareness and probably generated the sale as well. Or if it's business to business for that matter as well, as you know, probably your own business too, Colm, it's actually really business development. It's getting out there and doing the cold calling.
You said something I was very interested in there. You start off usually with nothing, and I like things that cost nothing. What could a small business do to market itself in a recession? A small business, maybe one or two. By the way, I think you call yourself a small one-person business. Are we not micro enterprises now?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's terribly insulting, but that's apparently anything less than.
But what can us small business people do to market their business on a shoestring budget, or even some of us can't even afford a shoestring?
Yeah, unfortunately, I would really kind of say that it is a cost base, no matter what. Even if it's your own time, your time is money as well. You know, I mean, you can do things. There's a lot you can do online. For example, things like your Facebook and your Twitter and all that are technically free, but you're maybe at that level you're just putting up posts on Facebook. You're not advertising. Okay, if you want to advertise, it's going to cost some amount of money. Now, any digital forms of advertising tend to be a lot cheaper than traditional, but you really can't just do them in isolation. You do need to invest something into marketing. It's like they say, you get nothing for nothing, I guess, you know.
What's the most effective means of advertising at the moment?
It depends on.
I know my son is watching now. He will say taking a full page ad in the Dundalk Democrat, but apart from that,
I don't think there's no one thing that is. I mean, I would say at the moment, certainly television is still extremely strong. It's more affordable and
particularly local television.
Absolutely, things
web-based local television even.
It's a full-rounded experience. You know, I mean, you're getting visual and you're getting audio. I think that those sort of things really create an impact with people. Television is still very strong. It's very affordable, but no one thing is suitable for every business. Like television, like this, is probably not suitable for business to business, for example. You're still going to have to do the shoe leather on that. There's no one thing fixes everything. I always maintain it's like a four-pronged attack. You need to tell people, tell them again, and be recommended by somebody. And then eventually the
many times you have to tell people.
I think four instances generally.
So you're after four, if they haven't been,
it's a minimum of four. I mean, the same even say with like radio advertising or television. It's really by the fourth instance at the earliest that people actually start to notice. You'll know if you drive past a poster even on the road, you glimpse it the first time. The second time, maybe you kind of go, I wonder what the hell that is. The third time, you're kind of going, oh yeah, I caught a word or two. And by the next time, you're going, yeah, that's what that is.
And of course, the proof of that is last year, the year before, there was an ad for the Passat, and the Passat was driving down the street, and on the footpath, there was a woman walking a tiger. in the back of the ad, but nobody noticed that.
Right.
Because they were looking at the car, and it was. In fact, that was part of the ad. I think at the last part of it, they did say, "Yeah, you were so impressed with the Passat, you didn't notice." And
The woman with the tiger.
woman with the tiger.
Yeah.
Of course, I know it's a woman with it.
Yeah.
How could I miss that? And you looked at it the second time. There was a woman with this tiger, and so it's right what you're saying.
Yeah.
So everything has you have to a one-page ad once. It's not going to go
won't
into
do it.
business.
It's repetition. It goes back to basic learning. You know, to learn anything, we have to repeat it. But that what you just raised there was very important as well, Colm, and that is the product. The product itself is probably one of the most important factors in the whole thing. You know, the product must be what people want. It must be right. It can't be faulty. You know, it has to be right for the time as well.
Yeah.
You can't just decide, oh, I think this is an absolutely brilliant thing, I'm going to sell it. It must fit into the marketplace. It must be better than the competitors in some way that you can demonstrate for people to notice it and not the woman with the tiger.
Yeah. But again, I'm sure there are certain instances where products that nobody wanted, nobody had any use for, were marketed to death and became must-have items. I suppose you can really take the iPad and the iPhone for that. You know, they're as
phone.
good or as bad as any other mobile phone, but you have to have
The latest.
you have to have an iPod. If it's an old Nokia, it does exactly the same job. Why would I want it? But so much has gone into the marketing of it.
It's become a trend, though, in any case as well. Do you know, I mean, I would have said that about the mobile phone too. I always think it's one that breaks the market research rule. I would always say to people, don't just launch product, go out and do the research first. If you'd asked people at the time who had the telephone at home that, you know, they were driven distracted with the children running up the bills, and you said to them, do you know what, I have a great idea, I'm going to give you another phone and it's going to cost you twice as much as that one does, everybody would have said no, not a hope in hell. And yet now you're looking at total saturation in the marketplace with mobile phones.
Funny you should say that. I remember the very first mobile phone I got it because at the time I was involved in a freight company, and we were importing these things called mobile phones for a particular importer. And he says, look, we'll give you a lot of business. Do you want to get one? And like that, I said, what the hell would I want to use a mobile phone for? First of all, I couldn't get over the concept of it, but then when we kind of got used to it, you know. But I bought it just because, well, he's a customer, he's done all the bit, I'll do some business with him. But my God, it wasn't long before I ran up a hell of a bill.
Yeah, and you probably felt really self-conscious using it, and you were aware of people saying, look at your man showing off with this mobile phone.
I probably got it for that reason. But if you actually remember, what were mobile phones originally called? Yuppie phones.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm telling my age here now. A young one like you probably wouldn't remember that.
I do remember when they were the size of a brick.
That's right, yeah. There was nothing mobile about
But
them.
there's a thing has happened as well with human psychology there as well. I think like the whole technophobe thing is breaking down. You know, those of us even who would have been slow to adapt, you know, you talk about the early adopters down to what they call laggards, the ones that totally refuse to have a mobile phone. That has kind of broken down. And I think now as new technology comes out, people are less and less afraid of embracing a new technology as it comes onto the market, you know.
And how they have how phones have changed too. When was the last time you saw somebody under 20 talking in a mobile phone? They're either texting, checking something out on web, but you actually rare them. Like most kids nowadays, they're walking around looking at downloads of Cavan TV. You know, and why wouldn't they? So anyway, just to wrap it up, what's in the future for Bright Spark Marketing?
For Bright Star Marketing, what's in the future? Well, I'm hoping that it'll just continue to grow. I'm certainly getting a huge amount out of it. I always say to people, like, I'm learning so much from the businesses that I'm working with that it makes for a very rich life for me. It's also quite a lot of hard work because of trying to stay on top of all of this new media that's coming along. I'd say not just the Facebook and the Twitters, but we're looking at the Tumblrs and the Flickrs and the Google Pluses.
Are you super technical?
Pinterest and all of that. Not by nature, but I am now.
Yeah, you have become.
I have no choice but to be.
And is that the way it is? You know, because
it's brilliant. It's actually
my
very
business
exciting.
has the Facebook account. I have a Twitter account, but I don't see the point of them.
Well, there is. There definitely is a point. I mean, you talk about every young person going along is glued to their mobile phone. I mean, the CEO of Google last year, I was at a presentation, he was saying that 75% of young people now who have smartphones will do their pre-purchase searching on the internet. 75%.
The only thing I ever watch my girls looking on Facebook is that they're who's shifted who's broken up with who, what somebody's status is, how it's happened, and then retweeting the fact that somebody else has broken up. But I've yet to see how it can benefit a business.
They're still exposed to the advertising that goes on down on the sidebars on Facebook. And they're becoming like fans of the different brands that are on Facebook. There are more young people who are fans of brands than there are of celebrities on Facebook. That's how strong the whole branding thing is. So certainly for certain types of businesses, Facebook and Twitter are going to be very important. Pinterest is coming along, is going to be really important as well. Anything online.
Okay, we could talk to ours about Anne Sheehy, Brightstar Marketing and marketing in general, but we'll wrap it up there. And if anyone does want to avail of your services, how can they contact you?
They get me through my website, or they'll find me on Twitter or on Facebook.
Anne Sheehy of Brightstar Marketing, thank you for your time. Coming up later, we'll be finding out what's happening this year during Bank of Ireland Enterprise Week.
I'm Gavin Duffy, and I'm saying watch cavantv.com. It's a great opportunity to see some great programs, and you can watch it all around the globe via the internet and on many platforms. I watch it myself. Great stuff.
Good evening, you are welcome back to Business Enterprise here. I'm Colm Colgan. Thank you to Anne Sheehy, who was just letting us know what's happening on the marketing front. Now, this week, as we all know, is Enterprise Week. And with us this evening is Sean Smith of Bank of Ireland, who's going to tell us exactly what the bank is doing about Enterprise Week. Sean, you're very welcome to Business
Thank you very much,
Enterprise. Let me settle something. First of all, is it National Enterprise Week, or is it a specific Bank of Ireland Enterprise Week?
It's we call it as National Enterprise Week, but it's initiated by Bank of Ireland. So it started on the 16th of November, which was last Friday, and it runs to the 23rd of November. So if you were to walk into any of the Bank of Ireland branches today, you will see a National Enterprise Week happening in those branches.
Now, how if I walked into a Bank of Ireland branch tomorrow, just check it out, see that you're not pulling a fast one, what will I see that would let me know it is Enterprise Week?
Absolutely. Well, I suppose, just to give you a sense of what it's all about, I suppose it's in its fifth year. And it started out really where it was an opportunity for small to medium-sized businesses to come along and showcase their goods and services throughout our retail branches. So if you were to walk into the Bank of Ireland in Cavan tomorrow, what you will see is some small, medium-sized businesses from the locality who will be on display, who will have their goods and services available. And it's an opportunity for them to advertise, and obviously a great opportunity for them to promote their business. So it's been phenomenal success, and any business that we have have done it and been there in the past have found it a great success. So we've extended that out in different years and run different clinics and seminars, etc., as part of it as well. But that's really the main bulk of it. It's about showcasing their business in our branches.
Now, obviously, as you said, those who got to showcase their business in the branches, it's a huge boost. The amount of people coming into the branch will see them, will know what they do, might get coverage out of it. But how did they get picked?
Well, what we do is obviously we have a lot of existing business customers who we would notify of the event that's coming up. It runs twice every year, one in November and May. So we kind of promote it locally. We promote it through our newspapers and the national newspapers. We promote it through TV, etc. And we've also a number of websites available for it. But generally speaking, it's through communicating with businesses. But we've seen now an awful lot of our non-bank customers who have come on board, and we very welcome non-bank business customers, because again, as I said to you, it's about really giving the small to medium-sized business an opportunity to promote. So it's really through communicating with the businesses in the locality that we've been able to bring them on board, and we find now that an awful lot of them keep coming back to us looking to get a space at the branch. So it's going really, really well. And
it's probably the same people who do come back, because there are certain businesses, now whether it's not, needless to say, not all, it wouldn't be suitable to all businesses, but there are some businesses that I'm sure you said, by the way, it's Enterprise Week, would you like to put a stand, show your wares, let everybody know what you do? You could be there for the week, we'll give you a stat, display, the whole lot. Would you like that? No, that wouldn't be my type of business. I'm sure there are a lot of people will just balk at that opportunity, whereas other people who are on the ball, every year they say, can we come back? Can we come back?
Absolutely, because I suppose, and in a sense that, nowadays we'd all have to say that businesses are looking for any way possible to showcase their business. And funny when you say we have ran, and over the last twice since we've done it before, is around teams each day. So you're a business, we might have 3 businesses per day in our branches, and we've maybe set up a team where it might be something to do with arts and crafts, it might be to do with Christmas, it might be to do with the car dealership, it might be to do with retail, food, etc. So we ran with different teams, and you have a lot of businesses who will come back, but then again through communication, and those businesses going out communicating has allowed other businesses to come back and look for a slot on it. So it's growing and growing every year, and we're delighted to say that it's something that we've been able to promote over the last couple of years, and it's getting stronger and stronger, and that's why through time we'll probably expand it out to certain seminars, clinics, etc. And it's an opportunity for us to communicate with business, because that's all a business want to do.
So in other words, is that mainly what goes on at the moment anyway, the Enterprise Week, is the opportunity for business to showcase, and there isn't those seminars, because as I'm sure you saw from outside, we were chatting there to Anne Sheehy about the importance of marketing, and of course she brought up, so everything is a cost, and training is a cost. There's no seminars at the moment running either in the branches or separate from the branches around Enterprise Week to, we say, a one-day sales seminar or a one-day customer services seminar.
Well, the typical type of seminars we have run in Cavan over the last couple of years, and we're running one particularly in the agricultural business, I suppose it's an opportunity for small to medium-sized business to come along to, I suppose, a Q&A session. We've also tried to bring some iconic figures in business. And as you know, Bank of Ireland support the Dragon's Den, which has been a phenomenal success for us as well. And this year we've been using the Dragon's Den, and we have those, what you would call dragons, very much on board, running those seminars around with the likes of Gavin Duffy, etc. We had this year as well, and just be a little bit different than from the other years, we've gone with what we call a Juniors Dragon's Den, because this year we felt that we should be looking to the young entrepreneurs of the future, and there's an amazing amount of activity goes on in our secondary schools. So what we did was we set up regional finals to identify 10 national finalists to go on for the last 2 shows of the Dragon's Den. So they will go on to the set of Dragon's Den in front of the dragons and promote their initiatives. their ideas, etc., with the chance of winning €2,000. So that is something different that we're doing through Dragon's Den and Enterprise Week.
Now, we see it on the ads every night on the TV. Bank of Ireland wants to lend lots of money. Now, I assume the criteria has changed dramatically in the past decade or so, and it obviously is harder to get money than it was. If I'm going in tomorrow to look for a loan, what is the bank looking for?
I'd probably disagree with you, Colm, in saying that the criteria has changed. I suppose the attitude and approaches have changed an awful lot than in the past, both from Bank of Ireland, from the bank side, and also from the customer side and the business owner side. I suppose the important piece around how we say that we are here to lend business, because people must remember we are a business. We make money from lending money, so we have to be lending money, and it's important to identify that we are here to lend, and we will lend. We have the capital to lend, and we will continue to lend. So that's a good positive message that we're able to give out there. But as you said, if you walked into Bank of Ireland in the morning and you were looking for funding, I think the first thing, and what we're seeing an awful lot more, the difference now than maybe in the past, is that business owners, directors and are very well educated as to how their business is operating. So we certainly identify what is the purpose that you require the funding for or the cash flow for. We look and see how the business has been operating. So obviously your financials from your accountant are very important when you're coming looking for funding. So we have a look at that. We look at the proposal in itself to see what exactly are we looking to do here in terms of what amount of money we require, etc., etc. And we have seen in recent times where a huge change in terms of the attitude and the approach, because there has been situations where maybe the things might not have ticked all the boxes, but we've been able to support it because we can see from the proposal that's been put in front of us, the attitude and the approach of the business owners, and that they're well educated, they know what they want to do in their cash flow, and we've been able to work with them to provide them with the funding. So it's not a case of where you're coming in looking for amount of X. We certainly identify, is X sufficient, and we might be able to come up with the Y might be a better figure to put on it. So I think nowadays the important piece is obviously have your financials up to date, have your proposal and understanding of why you want the funding, and the key thing is, can the business afford to pay back the funding? And that's really the three key areas that we look at with a lot of businesses. That's
difference between loans and overdrafts. Overdrafts are almost a thing of the past now.
Disagree. Overdrafts are important for cash flow.
Very.
Every business needs to have a cash flow, because nowadays as we operate in the business, there's this 30-day credit where I promote my business, I sell you
I like your idea of 30-day credit.
Yeah, 30 days credit, and
stretching to 90.
90 and maybe longer than that. But and I suppose that's a challenge for a lot of businesses nowadays. Is to try and tighten up a little bit on that. But overdrafts are very important for cash flow.
Very important, but have a lot of overdrafts not now been converted to term loans, which aren't as efficient to operate from a business point of view.
Well, where an opportunity where an overdraft might be converted to term loan would depend really on the size of the overdraft facility and what the business needs and requires in terms of a cash flow. It might not be as high as what they would have had before, and so that's why it can be a lot easier for both the business and the bank in terms of restructuring some of the overdraft facility and bringing it to a sustainable level where it's sufficient in terms of operation. Because you must remember, all businesses are not doing the same level of business as we were doing maybe a couple of years ago. And the turnover might be an awful lot less. So we try, in a lot of cases you work with the business around that. And yes, the restructuring obviously means that the loan and the debt is being paid over a period of time, whereby an overdraft is permanent. But I would certainly say that overdraft facilities are important for businesses.
Back to Enterprise Week. It's happening all this week. Happening in all branches.
Happening in every branch.
Even in Bailieborough.
Even Bailieborough.
Even Bailieborough. I'll stick my head in now tomorrow and I'd say Sean told me to check you out. That's my own native.
Yes.
And there's events happening all over the county, in fact all over the country.
Yeah, there's a number of events happening throughout all of Ireland. You'll have seminars happening in breakfast mornings happening in terms of, and it's an opportunity for, I suppose, to talk to business, to work with, and they've found it very, very beneficial. So any business that is watching in on this and thinks it's a great opportunity, certainly come and talk to us in Cavan, and we'd be delighted for them to showcase their business.
Okay, so any listener, any viewers out there who want to call into Bank of Ireland tomorrow, it's Enterprise Week for the next couple of days, tell them it's John sent you. So I've been Colm Colgan. Hope you enjoyed this week's programme. My thanks to my two guests, Sean Smith and earlier Anne Sheehy. Hope you have a great week. Good luck and talk to you next week. Bye bye.